Good evening, and welcome to episode 3 of Touching Eternity, the podcast. So, the first 2 episodes, we talked a lot about grief. So, tonight, Alicia and I are going to take you on a little bit of a different journey. So, as we get prepared for that, let's take you out of our initiation screen and get you down to our angel wings in the background. So, tonight we're going to talk a lot about energy and the concept of what is a ghost. So,
how old were you when you saw your first ghost?
I was very young. So, ghost that I actually knew it was a ghost, or seeing things that I wasn't sure what it was.
Seeing things that you knew was a ghost.
Probably about 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you that story because it's really a cool story.
Mine was 6.
Okay, so it's all about that same time.
Yeah.
But I have validation of my ghost, so I do. I have validations of my ghost, so that's really, really kind of nifty. So, as I said on other podcasts, and I want to say on this podcast, is I don't believe in the paranormal. I believe in the normal. I believe it's all normal. Paranormal are things that can't be explained, but I think everything has an explanation. I think some of us put a little too much imagination into the things that we don't think are unexplainable. So what is a ghost? Well, there are different types of ghosts, and I'm not going to really get into that because I'd like to bring on a guest for that, and when we have time, but I want to get more into the stories because those are more fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have some good ones in this city too.
Yes, we do. But, ghosts are they're not souls. I do want to get that out of the way. A lot of people want to believe that ghosts are left behind souls. So if you believe in a higher power, think about it. Why would a higher power leave a soul behind? Mm-hmm. Right? So mostly my beliefs, and this is just through my experiences, what I've witnessed in me connecting with spirit and speaking, most ghosts or residual energies are energies that have been created and maybe left behind. Okay? And I get the question all the time, well, what about suicides? Well, suicide souls go to heaven. They go to heaven just like Adolf Hitler's in heaven, and all.
And that's such a hard concept to grasp.
Everybody goes to heaven.
I saw a picture today of something.
We gotta watch. I can't be leaning on the desk.
Sweden, apparently, we'll have to ask Maggie about this if he's heard about it. Mm-hmm. They are developing a suicide-assisted pod. And I saw this on social media today, and it had a horrible stock image because it looked like a person lying in a glass pod about to do a shot of alcohol, which I'm like, they could find no better stock image than this one to use, but for whatever reason, that was what they chose. And of course, everyone's comments on there, you will go to hell. This is a place for sinners, and the Bible says this, and the Bible says that, and I'm like, yeah,
so think about this, folks. So let's talk about that. So since we come off of a grief topic for 2, let's move into this. So let's talk about euthanasia. Actually, I was looking up that yesterday because I want to move to a state eventually where euthanasia is legal. Because, here in the state that I live, it's not legal. And, being in the medical field myself, we inhumanely, watch people pass through suffocation because we keep giving them medications to suffocate them and knock out their respiratory drive. And so basically they suffocate to death or they starve to death because we can't feed them because their bodies can't handle food or nutrition. So we starve them to death. And, do they feel it? Doctors say no, but do you really know?
Exactly. You brought up a really good point during the grief meeting that we had is we have better care for animals.
Oh, we do.
Regarding how when they're facing the end of life or just are in such pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's my field that I work in is
Yes.
animal health. So um, it's it's a lot more peaceful.
Yes, we definitely
They
have.
know, they have somewhat of an awareness. It's much better, I recommend, when their people are there because that's who they want to be with. But most of the time, they know it's time to go. I've had a wonderful life. It's the hardest day in an animal owner's life. Um,
How do we go from ghost to end of life? But
and
let's talk
animals,
about
sorry.
this. That's all right. But let's talk about this, and then we'll get to some ghost
Yeah.
stories because we did. I want to wrap up the grief thing, and we just had a grief class, and I want to thank everybody that came to the grief class, and eventually I'm going to do one online. So, and we'll do one right here, probably on the podcast when we're live, and we'll get some people to join in for it. Um, and one of our episodes will be that where people can join in, and we will discuss it in more detail. But let's talk about that for a minute, and then I'll move into one or two of the ghost stories. So, euthanasia is legal, I think, right now in 10 states. It's I know Washington, Oregon, um, uh, Maine, New Jersey, Washington D.C., Colorado. No, not Texas.
Huh.
There's a few others. Most of them are on the eastern seaboard in the western. Not too many in the middle. Vermont is one. There's not too many in the middle. It's mostly north, east, and west seaboards. California is one, and then Colorado is one. So those but most of the states I'm trying to see because most of them have a limit. Like you have to be living in the state for so long. I got to find out which ones can you go to, and you have to be within your last 6 months of life or have a really terminal illness. You just can't go, you know, kill yourself. You have to be in terminally
Yeah,
ill,
to show that,
right? And
yes.
you have to be terminally ill, and you
I
have to
can respect
be
that.
you have to be in a period where there's no chance of recovery, and then you can choose to die with dignity, and that would mean, and if y'all remember the movie Soylent Green from a lot of you, that's way before your time. Yeah, that's way before
I
your
like
time.
all movies that
It's
are
an oh,
like,
go look it up.
I will. I
It's a
will.
movie where they used to put people in this room. Their family would come visit them and say their goodbyes, and they would had this surround television where they would see films of beautiful scenery and stuff. And while they're watching this and beautiful
Wow.
music playing, they would put them to sleep, and they just would never wake up. It was
I
a
like
beautiful, very peaceful passing.
okay.
But then the horror part of it was then they were taking their bodies and they were making food for people to eat with it.
Wow.
So
That's,
yes,
we didn't get dark at all there.
we didn't get dark at all.
Yeah.
So that was a movie called Soylent Green. It was a movie made back, I think, in the 70s.
Okay.
So, but they've been able to euthanize, with some restrictions, and no state allows you to do it without those restrictions. That is not forbid. Yeah, that's not, that is forbidden in any state to just go because you want to go. No, you have to have a terminal illness. There's certain standards you have to meet. I quit banging on the desk because I know it echoes to you guys. So, yes, there has to be standards that have to be met. So I think we do treat animals much more humane than we treat people. And so that's something that we need to look at and maybe get more states to fall in line with that. And that way, because if you're in the medical field and you've watched codes and you've watched people who are terminally ill suffer, then you would definitely probably be more on board with this.
Oh yeah.
With saying all that, so
Saying all that.
with saying all that, let's get back. So, what happens to our energy when we pass? What happens? It transforms. Like, so when your physical shell goes, your energy goes into the atmosphere and it transforms from potential to kinetic. And it's up to your loved ones or something that keeps it moving. But everything we do in the living also creates energy. Traumatic experiences, any rushes of energy, we can leave an imprint. And so those imprints cause hauntings or cause things to happen. So there are many New Orleans stories where we have visual hauntings that happen at a certain time, a certain place.
How about just like the same repeated experience
Yes,
over and over again?
over and
Because
over.
I always say, I think my residual ghost energy, I'll probably be walking somewhere along Royal Street between St. Peter Street in Orleans. Like I'll be somewhere, and it will, or I'll be at the
Those are in the French Court for
yes,
those who are
yes.
viewing from somewhere else.
Or I'll be at the Monteleone with a glass of champagne.
A hotel
Yes.
in New Orleans.
And I will probably be like yelling at someone, "Get out of my way!" And they won't know what it is. They'll just feel like a gentle trickle of champagne somewhere, like along their back. Oh, it's our ghost.
So
What would your ghost be doing?
So it's just there's things you'll see all over the place, and you know.
Didn't answer the question.
So what my ghost would be doing?
Yeah, what is your residual ghost doing?
Which one? I got several. I see ghosts all the time.
No, you.
Oh, me as a ghost.
Yes.
Probably drinking champagne. I'm a champagne person.
Judging with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a champagne.
I like that.
I am definitely a bubbles kind of person. So yes, probably that's me. Or I'll be bugging, you know, my other half in the shower. Because I always have my parents visit me in the shower. They're both fast, and we communicate in the shower all the time. So that's not, you know, so I communicate with my parents in the shower every morning because that's a good place of connection because it forms what we call the medium's cabinet. So that's a good place. The shower is a good place. The car is a good place, but I don't recommend the car unless you're not the driver. You know, so
that's safety first.
Yeah. So back to ghost stories. So here's a real cool one. So one of the first ghosts that I knew was a ghost. When I was about growing up, I was raised by a woman who was raised on cotton plantations, and she kept me connected to the spirit world a lot because she had a lot of ghost stories of her own. And she used to always call somebody, and you never knew this somebody, but she would always call something in her home the little fella. And she'd always say, well, did you see the little fella? It was always the little fella, the little fella. Well, when I would sleep over, and it wasn't often that I slept over at house because my parents, you know, even though they worked a lot, they did come pick us up. She was our family babysitter. And she watched my older sister. She watched me. She watched my little sister. She watched my mom's younger sister. So she watched my aunt. She watched a lot of like my nieces and stuff. She watched a bunch of us, but of course, you know me, I was the favorite. I got, you know, she treated me the best and stuff. So I spent a lot of time with her. Of all the kids, I probably spent the most time with her. And so when I would stay at her home, and I would lay in bed, this, you know, I'm going to explain what this is in a minute because everybody thinks this is scary, but it really wasn't. This dark cloaked figure would float out of the closet and float to the end of the bed where I was sleeping.
Not scary at all, Sandra.
And it wouldn't do anything. It would just float out and just sit there and just watch me. It never bothered me, never touched me, never. But it would just, every time I slept there, it would come floating out of the closet and just sit at that foot of the bed. And I would sit there like, okay, what's it going to do? But you could definitely see it. You know, it was a dark cloaked figure. And so I didn't think nothing of it because as I got older, you know, I didn't sleep there much more. And so I never really thought about it and roll up, you know, 40 some more years later. Now, my little sister's 9 years younger than me. Roll up 40 years after Hurricane Katrina, I moved to Dallas, Texas. My little sister would stay with my little sister while she was living there. And this must be like 2000. Katrina was in 2005, but I had been living there a while. So it was like 2007, 2000. It was before Magni. I think it was before Magni. It was probably 2007 or 2008 before he moved to Dallas in 2009. I was swimming at my sister's house on 4th of July, and I said, we were talking about psychic stuff, and I said, well, Deanie, when you used to stay by Mama's house, that's what we called her Mama, I said, when you used to stay by Mama's house, do you ever see the dark figure that used to float out the closet? She finished my sentence. So it was really, we bonded so tight because she saw the same thing I saw. So it validated that I wasn't dreaming that stuff.
My mom and I used
there
to
really
see.
was a dark figure, but the difference was it used to tickle her feet and pull the blankets off of her. So it used to play with her.
Yeah.
Me, it just kind of just came out and just watched. Her, by that time, it had started like tickling her feet and pulling the blankets off of her and stuff.
He was getting more bold, maybe.
Maybe more bold.
My mom and I used to see, I moved to a new house when I was about 6 or 7, and that was when I first started seeing things, and it was old farmland back in the day. This was in the Midwest, and we used to see the same person float down our stairs. Beautiful woman, thin, in like this white farmy dress, where I remember like puffy, like it was like puffy around here and puffy sleeves. And we would watch her sometimes come down the hall and then just go out through the back kitchen,
Oh,
go out through the back window, and just because we were probably figuring, well, we don't know where her land was back in the day. We didn't talk about it until I was older that oh, yeah, that lady. Yeah, our neighbor saw it too with her one day. And they didn't say anything about it. They just all watched her and, like, oh, okay. There's there's Jody going through the house again. Like, it was no biggie.
and then after all that, I mean, so we had that great connection. The reason why there's a reason I'm saying a lot of people are like, well, was that evil? No, no. And just to prove my point, I'm going to tell y'all another story. So while I was living in Dallas around that time, about maybe a few, then Magni was, my other half was living there at this time, we were called to do an investigation. This house was having all kinds of things happening in it. Some of the things that were happening was one of the children, the teenage boy, his bed would get shaken while he was in it, and they kept hearing knocks and noises, and they get funny smells, and then they caught a picture. They had cams in their home, and they caught a picture on the camera of this dark cloaked figure with claws watching the family, watching the TV.
Yeah.
And they actually sent all this to me. So me and about 3 other mediums and a psychic, and then a guy who did like recordings, and my partner, we all went to this house to do an investigation. And this house was a teenage boy, a teenage girl, a mom, and a guy and her boyfriend. They had been living here like 5-6 years, and they had two big boxers, big boxer dogs.
Those dogs have a lot
Oh,
of
yes. Yeah. And so we were, we were investigating the house, and we were feeling, we felt certain areas where the energy was kind of strange. And when we do those types of, investigations, we interview everybody separate. And one of the guys that was with us, he was the guy that he was really good with sound, and he would break up the sound so we'd get voices and stuff. So he would do EVPs and stuff like that. But we also sent him with the kids because he was like one of these big muscle guys. And so kids were just attracted to him. So we sent him off with the children, and he interviewed them.
Girls aren't probably.
No.
I was gonna say kids aren't the only people that are probably.
Him and Magni went with the kids because they were both, him and my partner, because they were very good with kids, talking to kids. So they went and interviewed the children, and we interviewed the adults, and both separately. Then we interviewed them as a family. And then while we walk in the house, one of the mediums picked up from one of the spirits there that just leave, that this was going to be solved in 48 hours.
Oh, nice.
And that all this was going to stop in 48 hours. And what was really weird about this neighborhood is that the whole neighborhood, we believe, well, I know, because we did some research, that this neighborhood was built on Indian grounds. So the whole neighborhood was haunted, because in this neighborhood, and y'all might know this neighborhood from TikTok or social media, because it's the same neighborhood in North Plano, like between Plano and Allen, where they had that swimming pool incident, where those kids had that big fight in the neighborhood, and it was all over. It was all over social media, and they had this big fight. But anyway, in that same neighborhood, the lightning had already struck like 13 houses and caused fires. So I mean, all with, and it's, I mean, how
So would you
crazy
say that
is
those
that?
were angry spirits?
Well, no, not necessarily. Because let me tell you the story. It's gonna all answer itself. So, Spirit tells the medium that's there, just go away. Give us that time. It's all going to be revealed, and it's going to be done. So we told the family that, give us this time. We'll come back. If it continues after that time, we'll come back and complete the investigation. Well, at that time, that day that was supposed to end, Mom came home early and found the boyfriend messing with the daughter. And that's what the spirit was there for. The spirit was there trying to protect, was trying to shake the boy's bed when the boyfriend was being
that gives me the
promiscuous.
chills. That's disgusting.
So the spirit was
you're-
there to help
Yeah.
help with the situation. And so even though it looked scary and all that, it's not scary. So the reason I tell people this story, and again, I will never say a name. I don't want to, because this family, and again, I don't want to put this family through any more issues than they've been through. But the reason I tell the story is that people automatically think because it was a dark figure that it's dark or it's bad. No, it's from another dimension. That's why it looks like it's not everything, because it looks like it's dark doesn't mean it's bad.
So the boyfriend, though, obviously he wasn't a great person by any stretch, and
Well, I mean, he needed help, and he went and got help.
But he was. I mean, I think there's a special place for people that harm kids. But yes, we're working on understanding. So that manifestation that you saw, though, that had like the claws and the angry face, was that perhaps a manifestation of maybe the boyfriend's energy, too negative energy at all, or is that?
I didn't. It really didn't have an. You really couldn't see the. I mean, you could see the face, but you can't. I mean, it's an outline. It's a dark, it's a dark figure. It's a dark. I mean, it could have been an Indian chief or something for all I know, but because it's a dark. It's a dark shape, and when you do this like this, it wasn't even fingers. It's like points that were coming out like that.
Was it pointing to anyone?
No, it was just looked like 5 points that went around a thing like that. You know. So I mean, so it's just it's an image from it's an image from another dimension that's coming into this dimension to try to protect this child.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and so that's why it was shaking the bed. That's why it was making noises. It was making. Oh, I'm hitting this thing again. It was making noises. And so again, don't always be afraid. Stop watching Hollywood. Remember, Hollywood's for entertainment. You know, it's not so much. You know, I mean, there is some things in Hollywood are based on true things. But a lot of times, but again, don't let it always scare you. Question it or call someone and get some advice. You know what I mean? Try to understand what is really going on here.
Yeah.
You know, why is it happening? Things just don't happen just to happen. You know, like my favorite question to ask people when they tell me they're possessed, why would a demon choose you?
Oh, I like that.
Why? I mean, what do you have to offer the demon? Of all the demons, that's true.
What are you bringing to the table for this demon that makes you so?
Right. Why would this demon choose you?
That's I would have never looked at it that way, but that's
I mean, think about it. What's going on? What is so bad in your life that this demon thinks that you're worthy of their time and effort?
It's all connected,
right?
It really is.
You know, or what's going on with you? I mean, I'm always, and again, and I'm not trying to be funny with that. I want you to be able to tell me what's going on with you that you think that you're worthy of this. And what I've learned from asking that question is that the reason most people do get possessed is they lose their self-worth. So you learn from asking questions like that.
Yeah.
That's why possession takes place. People lose their self-worth. They lose their self-value. And a lot of them do it because of drugs. I had a demon sitting in my house a few weeks ago, came in for a meeting, and he claimed to be a demon, and he's growling and talking to me at the same time. And he's like, I'm afraid I'm going to jump on you. I'm like, oh, no, I got so much protection in this house. You even come near me, you're going to be so slapped down, you won't make it to your car. My God, I got so much positive energy in here and so much love and so many angels around me that you even look at me wrong. You know?
Yes. You know who to call to fight your battles for.
Yes. I said, I'm so protected. Nice. I said, I am so protected.
Our spirit guides are wonderful.
I know. I said, I am so protected that you don't even stand a chance. I said, trust me. So, I mean, again, you know, you have to have faith. I tell to everybody, like, I won't take anybody on even a house cleansing if they don't have a faith. You have to have faith, because if you don't have faith, then things can happen to you. You know, I've had a lot of friends that have been energetically attacked and I wouldn't say by demons, but they're energetically attacked because they've left themselves open for it. You know what I mean? So, well, and I think that's going to be a whole nother topic when we get into how to protect yourself and why, and why. And why this part of energetics, like why you need to stay away from negativity, why when people start speaking negatively around you, you need to start backing away, because you need to keep positivity around you, and you need to keep prayer around you, or whatever type of prayer that is. If you're whatever religion, it doesn't matter, faith is important. Having that positivity and having that good motivation around you, and those things are very good. And that's what I tell you. And just love is the answer. Love, having that love with you.
This really ties in a lot to the grief thing that we were talking
Oh,
about.
it does.
People not losing themselves too, and having that faith to help and get through this. It's just interesting how it is all so connected.
People, one thing I've been working on investigating, and I have a little investigation. I'm going to bring this up too, because maybe we can look at it. But I've spoken to spirit, and they told us the story about, how when you're born with that clean slate, and the creator paints those colors, but yet when you cross back over, the only thing that comes with you is the love. So only the good colors, all the bad colors fall back off. So is that why families retain all the negativity and they have to break the chains? Ever think about that?
No, but that's an interesting concept.
Right. So I'm wondering if that's why it's so hard for mankind to break chains or to move forward, because
people are just now recognizing residual and generational issues. It was
but it's energy. It's generational energy. It's generational issues. And so if you realize, when you pass, if all you can take with you is love and life and good memories, because all the rest of it can't cross into that space, into that dimension, and so it all stays here. So it spreads to all the people that were in your environment. Then how? Right. Then how do you change that? So that's something we need to start looking at, and that's why I tell people, always go for joy. Stay away from the negativity. Stay away from fear.
Positive wrapping and positive colors. Right. If you are getting angry or upset, just send the negative people, wrap them. And I always wrap them in reds and pinks when I see that, because to me those are colors of love. And so I envision literally wrapping them in these colors and sending that energy to them.
But anyway, so I see things when I close my eyes. The spirits throw things into my eyes. But anyway, so let's see what another cool story I can tell you. So so we did another house not far from that house, actually, just in one neighborhood over. We got called into a house to do another investigation, and in this time we brought the same group. But this time we set cameras up in the house. I'll never forget this. And we got some really cool footage. We literally got footage of, we had cameras in this room, and you could literally see, now we got orbs. Oh, orbs ain't nothing. And usually they aren't. A lot of times when you see orbs in a place, it's usually dust. So is it dust? Or what is it? Right?
And we got a lot of dusty places down
here. Yeah. So we got to roll. But what this was cool was that what we caught was actual orbs that were spiraling, and they would come out of one area, they would spiral, they would hit the bed, and they would bounce up, and they would spiral, and then they would turn the opposite way, and they would go out into another area and disappear. And it was like they were coming from one point and going straight to another point, and it kept doing it. It was like a constant feed.
Yeah.
We got all that on video.
Bouncing off of each other.
So that was kind of cool.
That is neat.
Yeah, it was that was really, really cool. That was really cool. And so that was cool. So I wanted to share that. That was another cool one we got. And we did another investigation here, actually. And I'm just going to tell you, so sometimes what happens, and I don't want to name places or people, just because I don't want to embarrass anyone. But we literally went to this one business to cleanse it and get rid of the spirit that was there, who had they had some deaths behind this one. And one of the employees literally wanted to beat me up because they didn't want me to get rid of it. They wanted it.
They attached. They got
So I was like,
attached.
keep it. You can keep your ghost.
Yeah.
I was like, keep your ghost.
Well, a lot of places here though they do advertise as having ghost and
Yeah, but it's murdering people.
the ghost is murdering people, or the
Well,
ghost did murder people.
Well, it was 2 people that got murdered there. More than that, actually. It was 2 that at that location with that name, but there was others at that location that got murdered, but it was another name.
We're gonna have to talk about this off camera.
Yeah, we
because
are.
I have suspicions on where that could be.
I had you look at. I had you look at it in class.
Oh, okay. I
So you already know where it is.
Yeah, okay, I already know.
You already know
But
because I had you look at it in our investigation
Yeah, I
class.
still couldn't find that place.
I know. Well, you can't because it's not there no more.
Yes.
I had y'all look at that in class in our psychic investigation class. So that was a lot of fun. So again, I know we got some really cool stories, but like I said, we're gonna have to wrap this up in a minute. We just wanted to get something out because we have a hurricane coming.
Yes.
So I hope y'all got your gas and you got your water. I wanted to get this out to you guys, so we recorded this one. Now, what I would like you guys to do before we wrap it up is I would like you to think about some ghost stories that you might have that you might want to share with us. When we come back next week, we're going to continue with ghost stories. Okay, we're going to continue with some ghost stories because I got hundreds of them. I got hundreds of spiritual things to talk to you about. And then we're going to also talk a little bit about physical mediumship, which is where phenomena happen. So we can talk about what is the difference between ghosts and spirits, because there's a difference. Spirits are who we talk to as mediums, or that a physical medium can connect with and bring you physical phenomena through. They can channel that energy and bring phenomena. We're going to talk about a little bit about mediumship, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's the difference, because people think that they're the same. They are not the same.
Literally, the book I brought with me is Ghost and Spirits. So
And actually, I tell you, that's a book by she's deceased now.
Yeah.
This is Rosemary Ellen Guiley, she's very good friends with one of our tutors that we used to that I have, one of my close friends, Dr. Charlotte Pipes. She was a very close friend of hers, and she actually came and did table tipping at our center. I know, what is table tipping?
Yeah.
We will talk about that. I don't know. Table tipping is when you sing and pray on a table, and it will start to move the table, and the table will answer questions and stuff for you, and the spirit can move the table. And I have some, and when we get to talk about that, that could be part of spirit stories, because I have some wonderful table tipping stories. The only thing about table tipping is for some people it's a questionable thing, because it's when you can't film it, because when you film it, because everybody's hands are on the table, you always will swear someone's pushing it. You actually have to be on it to feel the table, how light it feels. So when you got a 200-pound table and that thing is floating across the room like it's light as a feather, you know that nobody's pushing it. How if you watch it on a video, you're like, somebody's pushing it. Yeah, that's that form of me. I'm a skeptic. Ain't that crazy? I'm a medium and a skeptic. I'm a very good skeptic. Well, I am.
You have to be though.
And so it's hard to get good table tipping on film, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, I've actually had a table come by itself across the room. A couple times I've had a table come across the room by itself. One time one jumped up on my lap and gave me a kiss, and then jumped off my lap and then went down. It was my mom.
Yeah.
And while nobody was touching it. They were all at a bigger table on the floor, and then a little table came across the room and just jumped up in my lap and gave me a kiss and went down. And I've seen tables do all kinds of crazy stuff. So we will talk about table tipping one day too in an upcoming podcast. But we wanted to get that out there because there is a hurricane, so we won't be live on Wednesday. We will air this recording on Wednesday at for the at 8:00. For Central Time for the one we're going to miss, and we will be back the following Wednesday with yet another adventure.
Stay safe, everyone.
Yes, stay safe.
Get your gasoline, get your water, get your protein.
Get up early, because the lines are already horrendously long.
Yes. Don't leave your animals behind.
No, do not. And it's a level 2, but it shouldn't be too bad here. We probably be without lights for a little while. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
So
we're used to that.
enjoy.
Thanks, Entergy. But we'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
So gang, we love you. Take care. Get your ghost stories ready. We will see you tomorrow. And thank you for joining our podcast, Touching Eternity. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.